We're back on. Okay. All right. How is everyone? Jennifer, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Sorry, I've been swamped and
I've
crazy.
missed you.
No, I
I've
know.
missed you both.
Oh, I know.
I missed
We
you.
missed you more.
So you saw my message and my notes and my plan. I've been in the background. I've been very busy with Brandy doing power hours, so that's good because I love power hours.
Brandy's great at hosting them.
Yeah,
she really is.
We do them once or twice a week.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
Did you see where we're posted? We're also doing team power hours as well. So if there's ever a time you guys can't do it, or if Brandy wants a break,
yeah,
you can jump in on those too.
Perfect.
I stole my script from Ashley Molstad. I think she's a great power hour.
Great.
Yeah. Okay. So what'd you guys think about Bob this week?
I liked it. I thought it was, I took some notes. I'm not going to lie. I'm trying. I'm back, sort of. I'm trying to be back.
Okay. She's back.
This is like, I'll believe it when I see it. Okay. So I thought the one about fear really spoke to me.
Red light, green light stuff.
Yeah, the red light, green light, and like how we can make up a story that causes us to be more afraid.
Yes.
Easy that is to do, and like that just applied to me and where I'm at with coaching, and also it applied randomly to something that like Ryan was saying this week about work that hadn't even happened. I texted him, I'm like, you need to listen to this because I just feel like it's so easy to like create these stories in our heads.
Yes.
Especially when we feel like he said something about fear is all in our imagination. It's a story. We're story creating machines.
Yeah.
And like, I just feel like that's so easy to not really wrap your head around unless you like hear that and then write it down, you know?
Yes. Yes.
And then the whole idea of like letting go of control and how it would help that.
Mm-hmm. The control reminds me of some stuff that we listened to today. We had a speaker, he was pretty good. And he started off the session, which I think is a really cool way, because regardless of how you start your day or how you start your power hour even, he starts it off with, I believe in myself completely, right?
I trust myself.
I trust myself completely. And like when we do our miracle mornings, we were talking about the importance of like, when people hear we do miracle mornings in the morning, most people will be like, oh, I don't really know what I would get out of that, or I don't know why that would be of value to me, or like I like to do my own thing. And the reason is because there is this power in gathering together, right? Hey, what's up? Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
So we're talking about the power of gathering together. So he's talking about this power in gathering together. And when you gather together, you've got that connection. And when you're in the connection and you have this mindset or this affirmation of, I trust myself completely, then no matter what comes at you in your business, but what I loved about Bob Helig's podcast is like Ryan, like it doesn't have to be necessarily about your business. It's like these stories that you start to tell yourself. And truly, it is like if you believe yourself completely and you're starting your power hour or your day that way with that mindset, how you are more prone to have green light thinking. That's a cool sound. Is someone getting a text or is there an alarm?
That's my son. That's the when he calls me, that's the phone ringing.
That's amazing. That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, I love that, Megan, that you picked that out. And here's what I thought about with our team. I feel like what I see, myself included, is that we will take action. Something happens that causes fear or causes us to rethink something. We start red light thinking, and you know what we all do? What training is there? What group can I go to? Who can I go watch on Instagram? What is this coach doing? And we get stuck in this like spiral way of thinking we need more education or more training or more community to keep going. And it stops us. Instead of what we actually need to do is take action, because the results that you want are in the process of you doing the things.
Yeah.
Right? how many times is it that somebody might leave a negative comment, or you might get like, I got a hard no yesterday. And I was like, oh, I'd asked this girl, like it was my 5th time asking her to be a coach. And it was sort of like, hey, thanks so much. God has got me in this place. And anytime someone throws a God thing at me, I'm like, she's throwing it at me because like, how can I rebuttal that? She's like, God's called me in this place and this is where I'm going to be, but maybe down the line. And I was like, all right, that's like as hardcore as being like, stop asking me as possible. But again, that's the story I just told myself.
Yeah, can I jump in?
Yeah.
Because she didn't use a special font that made it talk like this. That's how we interpreted
Totally.
the words on paper or
Yes.
the text.
Yes.
Like, it could have just been she was quickly running an errand and wanted to just get back to you, so it seems short.
Right.
But
Right.
she's really like, oh, thank you so much for thinking about me, but like, I'll get back to you if and when I want to.
Right.
Like,
God's got me in this place. I'm really happy, but I love what, you inspire people, but I tell myself this thing, what I needed to do instead of being like, oh, sitting there analyzing the no, it's like, all right, who's the next person I can ask?
Yeah. Right.
Thank you. I needed to hear this because I had just had 2 coaches who have been annoying me to quit. Brandy, we talked about that. One of them quit and the other one, I'm like, here's the toll-free number. Call them. They'll help you walk you through it. And I feel better now that they're getting it done. I'm like, just be done. Don't bother me if you don't want to do it.
Yes.
Tried everything to help you, but if it's not working, it's not working. And I just feel
Like a
really-
weight's lifted off your shoulder.
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
would have happened anyway.
No, exactly. And
Later, you
it's
invested
great.
more time and more energy and just,
Yeah. I love it when it works. And if it doesn't work, if it's not working, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What else, Megan? What else did you get? What was your third big takeaway?
Well, for me, I think as I was listening, I was like, okay, well, what is my fear? Like what why am I just like stuck, like still in these groups, still listening along, still everybody's like, are you still coaching? I'm like, yeah. Like, I haven't run a group in months. So like, what the hell is going on? Like, I'm not busier than the next person. Like, and I couldn't figure it out for a while. And when I was listening, I was like, I think my actual fear is that I'm not like gonna cry. I'm like not at my fittest as I was when I started.
Oh, yeah.
That natural, like people coming up to me in the hall at work being like, oh my God, like, what are you doing? Like I'm still really fit. And I just ran a half marathon, like, and I did really well, but I have to be like, I am really strong. I just, I'm not like where I was at that time. So I think my fear in asking people or even reaching out to people is they'll be like, oh, is she still coaching? And sometimes when people will say to me, are you still coaching? I'm like, why are they saying that?
Oh,
It's like-
yes.
But
Yeah.
it's a fear, obviously, because I'm crying. So
Yeah.
I'm like, that's so stupid. And I see your posts of like you when you're like Alicia with your donuts. I'm like, you'll be like, I'm the biggest I ever was. Like, and I'm like, that's so like true. It's not about the number on the scale, but for some reason that's still where my head goes to like my original success.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or like my transformation,
Yes. Yeah.
So that's my obviously like a deep-seated fear that it, like didn't really even like admit to myself till I was listening.
Well, I'm so glad Bob gave you the breakthrough.
So thanks for the therapy session. Clearly I need it.
We love you, Megan. We love you in all
Oh,
different shapes
yeah.
and sizes.
I'm
And
so
here's
glad.
the cool thing is that I can't say I'm loving her book. I'm only in 3 chapters, but Kendra Hall has this book. She's more fun for me to watch her on Instagram stories, Kindra Hall. And
Okay.
her whole business is the concept of telling a story. And we all have stories to tell. And it's whether or not we have the courage to tell them.
Yeah.
Because you just told this story and there's emotion behind it. And Jennifer, Alicia, Brandy, and myself were all moved by it. But what was happening was we were blending your story with our own stories. Jennifer was thinking about how she can relate. Alicia was thinking about how she can relate, all 4 of us. And now like we feel more connected to you because you told that story. And the reason that people are asking if you're still coaching, because I actually just asked someone, she's been to Summit, she's someone who's in our downline, and she messaged me and was like, my business is going slow. And my rebuttal back to her was, what business? I didn't mean it mean. What
Yeah.
business? I haven't
Yeah.
seen her do any posts. I haven't heard from her in a team call. I haven't, I like, honestly, I haven't seen her in my news feed. And so my question was, what business? And she was like, oh, coaching. I'm still here. I'm like, oh, I didn't know you were still coaching, because she's not using social media as her platform to tell a story.
Right. Yeah. And it was just like part of my day when I was doing it. Like, it was like wake up, workout, click. Like,
Yes.
it didn't take long. Like, there's no, reason other than
that. You just have to ask yourself if you're willing to share your story when it takes a lot of courage, because it's harder to share your story when you're not feeling 100% confident in your body. But you know this as well as anyone, those are the best stories, because we're all like this on our journey, right?
Yeah.
Jennifer can't look like, well, she has been, but it's very hard for someone to look like they just finished 80-day obsession for like the next 5 years.
Yeah.
And Megan, how could you turn that red light comment into a green light comment? Like, how do you flip the script on your own comment just there?
Yeah, that's what I have to figure out.
No,
Join me.
Right now.
We're having group therapy because it's going to help everybody.
Right now,
right?
Megan Jones.
That's so funny, because Andrew, all he says now is right now, and the way that you just stood up.
Right now, okay.
It's about time.
So
I think just
like, I'm not at my fitness.
Well, like, one of the things I thought when I put on these pants the other day that I hadn't worn since last winter, and they weren't tight in the waist, they were tight like in my thighs. And I was like, they're tight in my thighs. I'm running like 10 miles on a Saturday. Like, that's muscle. But like, I had to like stand there and be like, oh my God, I'm bigger. Because, so I guess just like embracing that, like, you can be fit and not be like, I don't know.
First of all, too, you've had 2 babies opposed to 1 baby. Your lifestyle is different. Your stress is different. You're running. You're doing different exercise than you're not doing 21-day fix right now. You're running, right? And I was just saying to Alicia, like, I'm 3 pounds below my heaviest weight when I started Beachbody, but all my clothes still fit. And Alicia even asked me, she's like, have you always had an ass? I was like, sheer muscle. It's called MM100. And it's like, I'm not.
I noticed that.
Yeah, it's not my
round ass.
I'm like full of muscle. But I was just thinking how I need to do a post about that, because people will relate to that. They'll be like, Megan, me too. Help me. Megan, me too. Help me. And you just have to make the decision to be the courageous leader. To be like, I'm going to run a group, and it's all about us feeling comfortable being strong, opposed to what the number on the scale says.
Yeah. Okay.
So what you also gain from that is that emotional feeling that you love when you first start coaching.
Yeah.
And when we all first started coaching, it feels amazing. We want to share it with everyone. And I wish that feeling stayed with us all the time. But coaching is like this, just like our weight is like this.
Yeah, I know. And that's another thing I think about, is like, what was different in the beginning, but like you said, it's kind of like falling in love. Like, that sounds so bad, but it's like marriage, it's hard. You have to work at it and do all these things.
And do you remember when Bob said this was in a separate podcast, when he said, when you're feeling stuck, he called it your soul. I'm going to call it subconscious. But when you're feeling stuck, it's your subconscious telling you that there's more for you, that something is missing, something needs to change.
That something needs to change.
I need to write that down.
When you feel stuck, it's your subconscious way of telling you that you're not growing anymore. There's more for you, and there's a sign you have to wake up to something.
Yeah.
This is your sign that like here's, okay, let's shift gears for a second. We were asked today, and I would love to ask you guys, like, think for 1 second on the very first time in your life that you can remember feeling like you belong.
Like ever. Like the first time in your life you ever felt like you truly belonged. Do you know, Jennifer? You're nodding your head.
I'm laughing because I'm still trying to find my space.
Well,
I've always been an outlier, but it's an interesting question.
Most people couldn't answer right away, and didn't answer. Like, it was like, kind of here, maybe there.
But I think a lot of what draws people in the beginning to what we do is that, hi, beauty. Wow, is that how you get ready for work in the morning? You look stunning.
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect timing. So we just asked the question, maybe you can answer it. Do you remember the very first time in your life that you can pinpoint when you felt like you belonged?
With you guys.
Oh, is that not a perfect setup or what? So, Amanda, we're talking about belonging for a minute, and Megan was just sharing some very vulnerable things that you can go back and watch on the video. Have you guys met yet? Amanda, Megan, Amanda.
Hi.
Hi.
Megan is like a veteran coach. She's been around for a really long time. Is it okay if I paraphrase, Meg?
I love it. Veteran coach.
So Megan is a veteran coach, like 4 years into it, and she started off the call being like, "I'm back." And then she shared with us, like, we were talking about the podcast and around fear, and she was saying, like, I have to think through like what I'm fearful of, and she doesn't feel like her body looks or feels the same way it did when she'd had her original transformation. And so when people are like, well, are you still coaching? There's this red light thinking on like, well, why are they asking me if I'm still coaching? And she goes directly to the body, where I'm saying it's like, well, you have to be courageous, or make the choice to be courageous if you want to share your story of like, hey, my body is different. And this is why I'm running. I'm not doing 21 fix. My legs are different because they're stronger. I'm running 10 miles on a Saturday, that whole thing. Right. So then we started talking about when you start to put yourself out there and you start to share that, all of it, and tell stories on social media, it attracts people to you. And the reason that people get attracted is because the question is, when's the first time you felt like you belonged? And your answer is, well, with you guys. There are a lot of people that join us because they need a place to feel like they belong.
Mm-hmm.
And so many times I think we overcomplicate what it means to be coaches. Like, our job is like, clearly Megan feels safe enough in our community right now to share something with all of us that is very personal to her. She got emotional as she shared it. So she clearly feels like she belongs and that she's safe here. That's our job. Like, our job is just to attract people so that they can feel that way and share their story. And when they do that, it's like the ripple effect where you keep attracting the right people for your team. And we were also talking about, like, if you're feeling stuck, that Bob Helig quote, I'm not going to steal it, but it's your subconscious, it's your soul's way of saying, hey, it's time for you to wake up to something more. You do need growth.
Right. And you've even done posts on that, where you've said, I feel stuck. And so
I felt stuck the last like 3 months. I feel stuck.
Right. Me too. Right. But it's just interesting because at least in coaching, you learn that you should turn to that growth. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas in the past, before this, if you were a mom at home, you don't know what to do. Like, I remember being at a mom's group and I just started coaching, and they said, what are your goals? And I was like, what our goals are to be a mom, right? Aren't we? What are you talking about? Goals? Yeah. What goals? I gotta get the laundry done. Are there other goals? Right. And that's what I think a lot of moms feel like. I have to get dinner done, and I have to get the laundry done, and I have to do it all by today. Yeah, that's my goal.
But you, Brandy, is someone that wanted more than that to be your goal. You wanted to have other.
And I felt very weird not being able to say I had any.
Right.
And I've done the post before where my goal for a long time was just to become a mom. And so then when I became a mom, I was like, what else? Is there something else? I hadn't thought beyond this. And what could I think of? And I think a lot of moms feel that way, and they feel like, and I feel this way when I watched you, Tracy, and I was thinking about this today, that I'm sure, because I was listening to Bob, that a lot of those moms are looking at me like, I couldn't do what you're doing, not even close. Like, you're working out twice a day, you're on social media talking like you can talk to anyone. There's no way I could do that. And I know that's why I'm not getting people to say, I'd like to try coaching.
I know.
Because they're looking at me like, there's no way I'll do that. And I've had a couple people actually call me and say, hey, listen, I'm really interested in coaching, but I can't run a group like you run, or I can't do the dinner challenges like you do. How would I find new people? And I'm like, well, you'll find your thing. You'll try different things. The dinner challenge didn't start like this. And they just kind of shy away still. Now, these are my homeschool mamas with lots of babies, which I'm like, don't know when you would coach with 6 children. But anyway, I don't say that to them. I'm very encouraging. And they're very prayerful. So they go back but I know they're watching me thinking I can't do all that. And I watch you, Tracy, and I think I can't do what she does.
Told you people do that.
How can I have a team?
The
I
speaker
can't do half of
today
what she
said
does.
that. The speaker
What?
today literally said that what happens with people, let's just call them coaches because he was here for us, like people look at these coaches and are like that you're this like gem of a human that just has all these like this fairy dust around them that like there's no way that we could duplicate like what Tracy does. And I said to Tracy, I'm like, I believe I can do what you can do. Right. That's why I'm like all in. I'm not saying I'm going to do it better or the same. Right. It's actually completely different because I'm different. Right. But I have the confidence that I can run a 10-star, 15-star team, right? And what he said is like, we talk about like borrowing belief, like believe it, and then we'll get you there eventually. And he's like, you can't make people believe anything, right? So he's like, you just got to communicate your own vision with such clarity and confidence and conviction that eventually someone else is like, okay, I can believe that. But we try to get people to believe they can lose weight. They believe they can have the time to work out once a day. Like, but we can't make them believe that. Like, we just have to be convicted and very clear in our belief that they can. And eventually they either will or they won't. And that's not your responsibility, whether they find it or not. And that's what's tricky is as we're trying to like attract people that we know if they just did this, this, and this, they could be great coaches or great challengers or all these things. But like,
and I've done the side of like, you have a story to share. You have 6 kids. Like, you have stuff to share. There are moms out there just like you with 4 kids. Maybe they don't have 6, but they have a bigger family and they're wondering how you're doing it. How do you do it? And they want to hear from you, and you could really affect a lot of people, and you could really change their lives because you believe in health and fitness, and you know that's the reason why you're a good mom, and you know it's changed you. And I really believe you should share your story, even if you never coach. You should start sharing your story. And you know what she did next? She got off Facebook. She got back on for Morning Melt. I went, oh no, she got back on for the next dinner challenge. She goes, the only reason I'm on Facebook is to be in your dinner challenge. So I'll be here for a week. I'm like, oh my goodness. But you know, and I explained, I'm like, you have a story to tell, you have stuff to share. But again, I can't make people do it. I can only instill belief and explain to them that I would never share the things I've shared if I wasn't a coach.
Right.
And I know I've touched people's lives, not even with health and fitness, just with adoption, just making people feel comfortable talking about that. So, and I think about that when I wonder why, you know, like right now, I can't get anyone to say yes, no matter how many people I ask. And it doesn't matter. I know I just keep asking. I'll just keep asking. I'll just keep asking. And the Bob helped. And the other one that I listened to was Grant Cardone, which is really hard. Like Jennifer listens, she's like, But I have to tell you, his audacity and his craziness like makes me feel like we all need a little bit of that. Like, I don't really care what you think.
So Brandy, what would you say your biggest fear is that holds you back?
I guess I haven't thought about it hard enough or long enough, but maybe because I guess it probably has to be rooted in what I'm saying I see you doing and I can't do that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't really take care of the orders that people want me to change. Like, how would I take care of coaches?
I don't take care of orders, just so you know. I don't take care of orders.
I don't either. I have Tracy take care of them.
Yeah.
But they still don't get taken care of because people don't send me the numbers. Or, you know what I mean? It's just the net, you know, it's that stuff. And I think there's like these people out there hanging out there I haven't even touched base with. And
oh no, we lost Brandy. Her. Jennifer, is everyone frozen? Oh man, come on.
Hello.
Hi. Are we frozen too? Sure. Oh. Hi, we're back.
Again, good. You know, so it's interesting. And I'm glad you shared this, Megan, because I've been a little stuck myself. And Morning Meltdown isn't doing it for me. I've been chatting about this with Brandy, and I said I should have just jumped ship early and gone to something else.
Yeah.
But I felt like I owed it to the other people who were doing it. And so I've been lucky if I've been getting in 2 workouts a week.
You should jump ship now.
And that's what I'm doing. So Brandy and I talked, and I'm like, I'm out. And that's going to be my post to my group tomorrow saying, okay, guess what? I stayed here too long.
Yeah.
I tried it, and it's good, and it's a great program for some people. It's not my program.
It's not serving you.
It's not working
so
for me.
Great that I've got this library of other programs to choose from.
Exactly. And I have to tell you, there's a part of me that wants to do 6 weeks of work. And I'm like, I am so crazy. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid.
Amanda already started, and there's a bunch of us starting it on November 7th or something.
Hey, Brandy. Oh, you're back. I was just telling them my woes of Morning Meltdown and deciding day to jump ship. So, and Brandy
Good.
talked through that. She's been very good. So
Jennifer, what's your biggest fear?
You know what? I have to tell you, I've gained 6 pounds, and it's not just like, oh, it's on. They've now been on for about 6 weeks, and I'm like, oh crud! I do not want to gain this weight back, and I can see it in the pictures. Meg, you were talking about that. I'm like, I'm not at my fittest. I'm like, oh. So I've been wearing a sweatshirt in my pictures and some other things, and I'm like, I can't gain the weight back because I feel great. I mean, I just feel so much better when I don't eat the garbage. And to your point earlier, Tracy, if you eat something you're allergic to and you bloat or whatever, that doesn't feel great. No one wants that. Oh yeah, that's me. It's just bloating is not fun. It's not fun. And when I eat the foods that I'm allergic to or sensitive or are treats, and I'll allow myself treats, but when it gets to be too many treats every night, then it's not good. So that's the fear, and that's why I know I have the tools and the community and the support. And I also know what we were talking about earlier, the number of people who love my stories because of the positivity, because of all of that keeps me going, because I'm a helper. I love to help people.
Yeah.
So I do love that.
Well, and it probably ties into the fact that you feel like you belong because those people are coming to you for something. And if you let your weight slip, ultimately it affects your internal positive, negative clock, right?
Right, exactly. So now when you go back and look at all the to-do list or my goals, you're going to be like, oh, this all makes sense. I see what Jennifer's saying.
But I think all of us going around and talking about our fear, it's also important that it's like, all right, what are my red light stories around my fear point, right? Like the story I told in the very beginning about the girl who texted back, I know one of the things I always do when I get an email back from someone that says no, I totally change their tone around so it's negative. Always. And I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with someone where they're like, oh yeah, well, when I texted you and said this, and the way that they describe their text is totally different than I rehearsed it in my head. Right. So I always have it that one of my biggest fears, I think, is that when I'm reaching out and I'm talking to people, it's like I'm offending them, or I'm, Bob gave that exact story of I'm that person that's I haven't talked to her in 7 years. I can't just call her up and talk to her about either a challenge group or this or that. And it's because I completely tell myself that story. And then if I do reach out and she comes back, I'm looking for the validation. I'm like, see, her tone is real bitchy back to me. No, her tone's not bitchy. Her tone is just, I don't know what her tone is, but I need to start creating green light stories around that. So when we're going around talking about fear, I also want you to think about how can I change the story around what I'm afraid of so that it's a positive green light story, because that's going to change your mindset and the way that you take action. Right? Because Jennifer, if you've lost 6 pounds, your whole community if you've gained 6 pounds, your whole community needs to hear about it.
Right. And positive is I have the tools. I'm right here. I
know what to do.
And I have the support and I know what works, and that's great.
And if you don't share that, you're not,
right.
And same with you, Megan, you're not relatable to
You're a mystery. You're a mystery.
It's like, how does she never gain it back? Like, letting people know that you've got these like gaps in your game is vulnerable in like the strongest.
The ugly picture of me on Instagram stories.
Did you see it?
So ugly.
I said I've never seen a bad picture of you, Tracy, until today. Ever.
Oh, I can send you a couple. I have a couple that I'm later.
I like what you said. I've got gaps in my game.
Totally.
Writing that
I mean,
down.
you may not think it, but I got them. And every time when people respond to those posts, you know, they're like, me too, thank you so much for sharing, or they private message you and they're like, I'm really happy you said that because I'm feeling the same way. And then you link arms with them in a whole different way possible.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really interesting is like, that's not Tracy's biggest fear, by the way. And it's not any of yours. It's like not mine either. When I think about my biggest fear, it's like probably along those lines. I don't want to like annoy people, whatever. No, my biggest fear is this business not working out.
Mm-hmm.
And investing 5 to 10 years and not being a millionaire. Like I'm like, that is my biggest fear. Like I want to make a ton of money and I want to make this an income, like a residual business that makes my family live a lifestyle that we never thought we could live. So my biggest fear is like that not happening. So if I'm really like keeping that outlandish goal at the forefront, like what fear about inviting could be bigger than that?
Right.
Yeah.
Like that is the ultimate fear, is like you don't make it happen. And so I don't know, I've been thinking, so like there's been a lot of fear about personal development I've been thinking a lot about, and it's like, am I safe is that first fear. Like, am I in physical danger? No. Okay, good. My second biggest fear is like this business failing because I didn't like get out of my own way. I mean, we're here with all these top leaders, like they're no different. They're no different. And in fact, like, I think we're better than a lot of them.
Yeah. You are a badass.
I said it. I said it.
I want to be
That might be the vodka talking.
I mean, possibly. But
amazing.
The point is like, when you ask them, what are they doing? Whatever. It's like, just the things they're supposed to do. Nothing different.
Right.
Like nothing.
Yeah.
We actually just got out of the hot tub with a coach who's been coaching for 10 years in New York City. And we were talking about like coming up with like collaborating and having a Google Doc where we are like creating questions to ask potential coaches, right?
Cool.
So that we get out of the habit of like just being like, whoever wants to coach, it'd be great, join our community. We want people that want to join the community that also want to do the work, but also love the people, right? That want to be able to fit in and have that sense of belonging, but that are going to do the work, right? Because this job isn't easy. It's like one of the things that Bob talked about is like, it's a hard, like MLMs are just hard because there's a lot of no's, but it's like, if you detach from the outcome, then what happens is you just focus on the action, and that's where you get changed and transformed, is through the action, detaching from the results of it.
Right. And I have to say that, you know, I told Jennifer about Grant Cardone's book, because when I did the Josh Coates training, he had us read that book, and it's not for everybody, but it was a much rougher version of Bob Helig's, and any sales training is what Bob Helig is giving. But he also related in that way. Like, I was an alcoholic, druggie, sitting on a used car salesman. I was a used car salesman, and I wasn't even doing that. And then one day, I forget, he has a story, but he decided he was going to learn it. He was going to stay and figure out how to sell cars. And he's like, and I hated selling cars. I hated it. But years went by, and he became the number one car salesman over and over and over and over again, and then went on to other things. But it was just, he's like, it's a game, and I think guys say that it's a game. And when you figure out the game and you detach from the results, it just goes. You just don't worry about people saying no. And the more no's you get, the more you learn. And that's what Bob was saying, right? Like, the more no's you get, the better you get at it, because you can, what did he say? If you are afraid of the no's, you haven't asked enough, right? Something along those lines. Because the more you ask, the better you'll get at it. But it's also, yeah. And I just think, and then you like I know you all do this, but you focus on the one where, and he said this today, I listened to one of his trainings on selling, And he's like, I know you get that one that's like, I'm interested. And then you're like, blah, blah, blah. And I did that recently because I haven't had anyone say they were interested recently. And I even then texted her, like I messaged her the next day when she still didn't get back to me. And I was like, here's my phone number. Are you sure you don't want to talk?
Threw up all over her and then kept
Can
texting.
I send you a sample of the workout? Maybe you want to try it? I haven't heard from you. You said you want to lose the baby weight. Let's chat.
Right. Hey, are you still around? And you must be busy. Green light thinking, you must be busy, but I'm around if you want to have a conversation. Amanda, what's your biggest fear around this business?
It's still a social media thing for me. Still.
Yeah.
What?
Being judged, you mean?
I am extremely private and I like people not knowing my life, and I like it that way. I'm not hiding from anybody. I'm private.
Yeah.
So getting out there and then talking about, oh, me and my workouts, that's a struggle. And right now I feel like a bit of an imposter because I haven't been doing them as well as I should be. Like I'm in that funk that everybody else was talking about. I'm fully there as well. So I've talked to Cindy, I've talked to Leanne. They were both extremely helpful. But it's me. I'm my problem.
Yeah.
Have you been in this funk like in a different capacity before? Like unrelated to Beachbody?
No.
I
Not
didn't
like-
have like a tendency that, or like a common, because sometimes if this situation has appeared in a different aspect of your life, you can usually look at however you got out of it in a different.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. No, not like this. This is, I don't know what this is. And I really want to get back to where I was and feeling super fantastic with the workouts and, being the proof that it works. And I want people to understand that, you can actually really feel awesome. Like I didn't know what it felt like to be good until I was there. And I want other people to feel that way. But I'm not there. So it's hard for me to be like, yeah, you should do it. It really works. I know it works. I believe it works. And then trying to get coaches on top of that. Like I feel like I have enough on my plate that for me to pull somebody along, like I feel like you probably are pulling me along, is super annoying. And I don't want to do that. I don't want you to do that for me at the same time,
Well, I think pulling people is like, you're on a call right now. I'm not pulling any of you if you're on the call. You got on
I'm always super curious and I want to be involved. And I'm always on the edge and then like dive into it. And then something happens. And
so I wrote out what Bob said, Amanda, because this is what I'm hearing. Like we take the action and then there's either a yes, a green light, or there's a no. And the yeses are good. It's like you take the action and you invite someone to a challenge group and they say yes, or you take the action and you do your own workout and it feels amazing and that's awesome, or you take the action and you have 5 days of really good eating and the scale goes down 3 pounds. Like all of those actions that point toward the positive are good and we need them. We all need them every once in a while to keep us going. But what I wrote down is like you take the action and then something holds you back, you stop, or you don't eat well, or you don't do your workout, or you sit down to do a power hour and you sort of fake it in your power hour and you like don't even invite people. Like that happens, right? And what happens is that like there's lessons in there. Like you have to stop long enough to know that there's lessons in those no's or those setbacks. And those are the lessons that you have to sort of inhale and take with you before you're ready to move to the next step. So I think sometimes being stuck, as much as we all hate it, is a place that's necessary in order to prepare us for where we're going next. I think it comes down to this, because I know we're at 47 minutes. It comes down to like, you got to ask yourself, like, are you willing to do the work? And the work starts with this, like here was my funk. I've just been in such a funk. I'm like, okay, what was one of the best phases of 2019 I've been in? And I thought about what that was. And I was like, it was on a Monday morning. I'm like, what did I do on Mondays when I was in a really good phase? One of the things I was doing was I was watching the National Wake Up Call live. I'm like, okay, I'm watching the National Wake Up Call live. And as soon as that's over, I would hit, the call would be done and I would immediately invite 10 people. I'm like, I'm going to duplicate what I was doing in a good phase. And the question I had to ask myself is am I willing to do that work on when I was in a good phase? Right? So think about a time in your coaching career that was good, whatever that might look like for you. Maybe it's your own personal journey. Maybe it was like when you were at Success Club 400, like Megan was when she first started. Think about what that was. What was I doing? And how can I duplicate that? Even if I don't feel like doing that work, I will do it anyway. If you ask yourself and have that gut check and the answer is I'm not willing to do that work, then coaching isn't for you right now. Coaching's not for you. But if you're willing to do the work, do the work, because that's going to create the momentum you need. That's going to help you get out of a funk where you can then look back and understand what it was that funk did for you in order to get you to where you need to go. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Amanda, do you ever listen to Melanie Mitro's podcast? She has some good ones on being in a funk. Even just recently, her last 4 are about, who do you need to be to reach your goals? Who do you need to be to run this business? Because she obviously hears from a lot of coaches, I'm just not getting it. It's not happening. It's not happening. It's not happening. And she's always pretty real. She's like, you want to know why it's not happening? Let's see your tracker or whatever. And anyway, the way she talks, it speaks to me, but it's just basically, her big thing is she's like, I sit down and she's like, I hate to invite. I hate it. She's like, and I sit down, I look at my computer screen and I go, I know someone out there needs this as much as I needed it when I started. So I'm going to find that person today. And it might take 20, 30, 40 people for me to invite before I find that one mom who needs this, what I have. Mm-hmm. And she's like, and that's okay. And so that always resonates with me because there are people out there that need this. And,
or people that used to do it and that are just like us, but they're not coaching. And they're like, I just needed you to ask me to realize I need to go back. My best time is when I was doing 21 Day Fix, or my best time is when I did Insanity or P90X, right? I just reached out to somebody I haven't talked to in almost 5 years. And she's like, oh my gosh, I just had twins and I'm 40 and I feel terrible in my body. No, I can't coach. I need to just work on me. I'm like, okay, let's do it. Let's work on you. She's going back and doing the actions that were working for her after she acknowledged to herself that she's willing to do the work. Right?
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know if that would help you or not.
Something else is I think being in a funk is contagious.
Totally.
Great. It seems to be the season. Everybody's in that season right now.
Yeah.
And so choose not to be.
Right. We're not funk free. Right? Funk free. We're gonna be funk free.
Funk free November. Funk free fall.
The funk free fall.
The funk is gone.
No, I really do get every single year right around with a time change. I'm like, it's
totally.
so dark.
Totally.
So I'm not going to do it this year.
So can we have a call to action that whatever your mornings look like, whether you're on the Miracle Morning or not, we all wake up and we write down, I trust myself completely. I trust myself completely. And then you can add, I would add, I trust myself completely because I'm prayerful. For me, I can't put all of the power on me because there's a lot I'm not in control of. But for you, there might be another blank that you fill out. I trust myself completely because, right? But I think that it's so important that we have that mindset that it's our job to do the actions. We all cannot control the outcome. It's our job to do the actions. So we trust ourselves completely to do that. I trust myself completely to do the work that it takes to get out of my funk, or to move my business forward, or to get my body back where I feel confident, or to lose my 6 pounds, or to be courageous and share with people that, like Megan, maybe you do a picture of you in a pair of jeans and put the same pair of jeans on and they button fine, but they're bulging at your hamstrings and your quads because your legs are so strong. And that's like your coming out post. You're like, I am still coaching. It's been so hard for me because I don't feel as fit because my body looks different. And my body looks different because I'm doing a different type of workout. But I want to feel really good in my body. And so I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to get there in the next 90 days of the year. Who else feels this way and wants to join me? And you do that on your page. And that's courage right there.
And what's even more courageous is when no one likes it for a couple hours.
Right. And your heart's racing.
And guess who comments on it? Tracy and Jennifer Jackson.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I just put myself out. He talked about that today too. He's like, you put yourself out there. You're like, does anyone not recognize the brilliance of this post?
Right.
Like, this was funny. Or like, I drafted this 7 times. Like, I used 9 filters on this. Like, why are people not engaging? But like, it's more about you, not anyone else. And quite frankly, like anytime I'm stuck, I have to look at like, am I being the best challenger right now? And usually I'm not.
Right.
Usually it's like, I'm eating like crap. I'm like half-assing my workouts. My water is off. I haven't tracked my food in months. Like, that's always where it starts. And so I think for anyone who's in a funk now or in the future, you just got to go back to the basics and be selfish and just get yourself good.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is so weird. People are like all of a sudden saying yes. It's not weird. It's just how it works.
Yeah.
And if you're in that funk, people are saying no. It's just energy. Like it's
energy.
Like it's contagious. That's a really good point. But so is the opposite, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, it's hard to recognize when it's happening until you're in it. And you're like, I've been in it for this long, but you didn't really like see it. It's that drift you talk about. It's like a little bit and then a little bit more. And all of a sudden it's like 3 months later or 6 pounds later or 9 missed workouts later. And you're like, okay, let's get back. But before you worry about inspiring others, it's also important to take care of yourself first. So we got some work to do, ladies.
Yeah. And Amanda too, like in terms of like the privacy, like, I mean, I so get it because my husband's like the most private person I've ever met. You can be like, hey, you know what? There's been a lot going on in my life that I'm going to share and keep in my 4 walls. But I will tell you guys that I'm coming out of a season of XYZ. And what makes me feel really good is going back to why I started coaching in the first place. And it's XYZ. Right? You don't have to tell everyone everything. There's so much, like, it's amazing when I'm with my girlfriends and they're like, wow, as much as I watch your stories, I can't believe that you didn't take any photos or any videos. I'm like, well, I don't ever take videos of when I'm like with a group of 4 women or my friends threw me a birthday party. Like, why would I put that on Instagram stories when someone's going to watch it and feel bad that they weren't invited or they weren't included? My, like, I keep a lot of stuff private because I don't want to ever make someone feel like they don't belong. Right. I just show the stuff that I'm comfortable with. There's a lot I don't share about my kids. There's a lot I don't share about what I do with my girl. Like half of my best friends aren't even on social media. And I know when I'm with them, it's not the right time to be like, hey girl, I'm doing this with the camera. Like, you know.
But she's 5 years into coaching. It's different. This is my only source of income now. Like, it's different for me. So we talk about don't compare your like chapter 1 with someone else's chapter 10. Like, you gotta just, you know.
For me, I don't feel like I'm comparing to anybody. I know my struggles are purely with myself and what I want to share with other people. And again, it's nothing that I have nothing to hide. I have a fantastic life. But I know for me that I need to get back to my regular workouts, to challenging myself, to doing my reading, and to getting my ass out of bed in the morning. I know that that's where my funk lies right now.
Yeah.
And that needs to have, if I can shift that, and I will shift that, not can, I will.
Right. You're willing to do the work.
Oh, I am willing to do the work,
Yeah.
100%, but I just need to get back. I just need to flip the switch.
Love it. I think that's a great way to close out the call. Like, I think we're all willing to do the work. Megan, you ready to do the work?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Ready?
B? BT?
Yes. I've been doing the work.
All right, I have a theme song for us.
Let's hear it.
It better work.
Hi, I'm
I got
Rocky
the
Harris,
ad.
and I'm here to bring you.
Hold on.
Now we gotta wait 30 seconds.
I know. Here we
I
go.
think it's just
Uptown Funk.
we should call it No Fall Funk. No Fall Funk. Easy pressure dance. We have vodka.
All right. We'll keep it up. We'll keep it up.
Oh my gosh. All right, guys. Mwah.
Thanks. Have fun. We want to see more.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye. Thanks, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.